Okay, we'd like to start off with the acknowledgement of the First Peoples and traditional territories. We would like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation District 4, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We are making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. And I will call the meeting to order at 5:01. And we have the agenda in front of us. Are there any items to add or delete from the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Move to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Falkenberg that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. You have the minutes from the regular council meeting, October 6th, 2025 in front of you. There is a motion to approve the minutes, moved by Councillor Idris that the minutes from the regular council meeting held October the 6th, 2025 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Any business arising out of the minutes? Okay, seeing none. We have correspondence. I don't believe that we would have updates on council conferences or workshops because I don't think anybody has attended any yet. So we'll move on to the report of the 2025 weed report. Okay. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read it. Moved by Councillor Regner that the following items of correspondence be received as information. The update from council conferences or workshops and the report of the 2025 weed inspection report. All those in favor? You have a question?
No, just a comment on the council conference and workshop. I actually just want to say thank you to the administration and Doug for the orientation and the workshops that we have done for the last 2 weeks. Amazing work. I think it goes without saying that it was some of the best orientation that I have seen. So thank you through the CAO2 staff. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Business, there is an appointment to the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board. And I don't see Tabitha here. Is anybody speaking to that? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Through the chair to mayor and council, before you is a request for decision for an appointment to the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board for a member at large. Tim Hanrahan is currently an active member of the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board. His second term expired October 31st, 2025. He would like to be considered for a third term renewal. The Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board made a motion at their October 15th, 2025 board meeting recommending Tim Hanrahan for a third term renewal. The recommendation, therefore, is for council to reappoint Tim Hanrahan to the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board as a City of Brooks citizen at large member for a third 2-year term commencing November 1st, 2025 and ending October 31st, 2027.
Any questions? Mike?
Do we have any other applicants?
Not at this time, there weren't.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that council reappoint Tim Hanrahan to the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board as a City of Brooks citizen at large member for a third 2-year term commencing November the 1st, 2025 and ending October 31st, 2027. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Next is an appointment to the Brooks Public Library Board. and that is Amy Fonchura.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. The library board is made up of one council member and not more than 9 members at large. One County of Newell library board member has a standing invitation to occupy one of the member at large positions, and these members are appointed for 3-year terms. The library board recently reviewed an application from Karen Benora, and they are recommending she be appointed as a member at large. Karen has lived in Brooks for over 40 years and was previously a school librarian and past library board member. Therefore, administration recommends that Karen Benora be appointed to the City of Brooks Library Board for a first 3-year term commencing November 4th, 2025 and ending November 3rd, 2028.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that Karen Benora be appointed to the City of Brooks Public Library Board for a first 3-year term commencing November the 4th, 2025 and ending November 3rd, 2028. All those in favor? Carried. Proposed increase to the franchise fee, Fortis Alberta and ATCO Gas. Manager Leibel, you're speaking to that?
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to council, the City of Brooks collects franchise fees from Fortis Alberta and ATCO Gas under existing franchise agreements, also known as local access fees. These fees compensate the municipality for the exclusive right granted to utility providers to operate within city limits and utilize municipal lands for infrastructure. As of January 1st, 2021, the franchise fees were increased, and on that date, they were increased to 14% for electricity and 19.5% for natural gas. Franchise fees are a key source of non-tax revenue for the city, helping to fund municipal services and reduce reliance on property taxes. The Alberta Utilities Commission permits franchise fees up to 20% for electricity distribution and 35% for natural gas distribution. The city can implement franchise fees at any rate council so chooses, anywhere from 0 to 20% for electric and 35% for natural gas franchise fees. Franchise fees are applied to all utility customers, including tax-exempt entities, ensuring broader cost sharing. So that includes province of Alberta buildings as well that are in town. This increase reflects the rising costs of service delivery and infrastructure maintenance. And for historical reference, city adjusted franchise fees in 2021 to offset the removal of or the adjustment of business license fees. And franchise fees require approval from the Alberta Utilities Commission under Rule 29 and Section 45 of the Municipal Government Act. Public notification must be issued prior to submission. All documentation must be received by the AUC by February 15th, 2026 to ensure implementation by April 1st, 2026. The following are steps that will be followed if council approves a change in franchise fees. Council resolution today on November 3rd, 2025 to formally approve the franchise fee increase. Public notification, 2 weeks via local media and the city's website. Public feedback period, November 26th to December 17th, allowing at least 2 weeks following the final advertisement for ratepayers to submit comments or concerns. And then submission to Fortis Alberta following that. The proposed increase in the franchise fee rate to 17% is estimated to generate approximately $330,000 in additional annual revenue for the City of Brooks. For ATCO Natural Gas, the proposed increase in the franchise fee up to 22.5% is estimated to generate approximately $110,000 in additional annual revenue. And the franchise fee revenue could alleviate pressures on property tax rates and other sources of revenue. Depending on implementation date, the city may not realize the full additional revenue in 2026. Often franchise fees are implemented January 1st due to the timing of elections and everything else happening this year. The earliest we could do is April 1st. So the estimated impact to residential customers is $1.89 per month per household for electricity and $1.40 per month per household for natural gas. There are, as mentioned earlier, a whole host of options. We've listed another 5 options for council's consideration. And of course, have the recommendation following that, which is, I guess, a sixth option for council to consider. So with that, I turn it back to council for motion and questions.
Thank you very much. Does any councilors have any questions?
We should have a motion on the floor first,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Phillipson that the council approve an increase to the municipal franchise fee rates to 17% for Fortis Alberta for electricity and 22.5% for ATCO Gas, which is natural gas, effective April the 1st, 2026, and direct administration to submit all required documentation to the Alberta Utilities Commission. Any questions? Okay, seeing none? Oh, you have one. Councillor Phillipson.
To the mayor. Just as an addition to this recommendation, if we go to 17%, will be the same as Chestermere, will be lower than Coaldale and Airdrie, and I'm in favor of going this way.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Phillipson that council approve an increase to the municipal franchise fee rates of 17% for Fortis Alberta and 22.5% for ATCO Gas, effective April the 1st, 2026, and direct administration to submit all the required documentations to Alberta Utilities Commission. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. The next item is the Living Wage Week, and Manager Tiffin will be speaking to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mayor and Council, a living wage is the hourly wage which a worker needs to earn in order to cover their basic expenses and fully participate in their community. So each year, the Alberta Living Wage Network, which the City of Brooks is a part of and has been since 2023, celebrates the Living Wage Week by announcing a new living wage rate for our participating communities. The living wage in Brooks is based on data collected locally, directly from our community, which includes the costs of shelter, food, transportation, childcare, clothing, healthcare, tuition, and other essentials. So therefore, it's a locally relevant living wage, and in 2024, it was identified as $18.50. The 2025 rate will be officially announced on November 17th during Living Wage Week. So at this time, staff is recommending that council proclaim November 17th through 23rd, 2025 as Living Wage Week in the City of Brooks.
It has been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that the council proclaim November 17th to the 23rd, 2025 as Living Wage Week in the City of Brooks. Are there any questions? Falkenberg. Your microphone.
Through CEO Doug Lagore, I'm just curious on what the annual membership fee is, what the actual cost is.
Go ahead.
Do we know that?
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Falkenberg, the membership cost for being part of this network is $1,500 a year.
Thank you.
Our Councillor Nesbitt.
Through the chair to Director Tiffin, if I could just ask, do you know how many people are actually, how many people go through that session to determine the living wage and all the different expenses that they encounter throughout is it 25 people that are assessed, or is it more of our community?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Nesbitt, the way that the data is collected locally is through a number of different sources. There's 25 different participating communities, 25 or so across the province, and within each community they gather the data. So Alberta Health Services, for example, gathers the data on local food costs, and they literally go to the grocery store and they look at different specific things like a gallon of milk or a pound of butter and so on. Other data points are collected, like housing is collected through CMHC. The information for transportation costs are collected through an insurance provider will provide the average cost for insuring 3 different types of vehicle, and then we collate those to collect an average on that. So it's a number of, there's I think 10 or 15 different data points that they do, and then we as a network hire an economist to go through the different data points once they're collected and calculate the living wage.
That's very good. Thank you very much for that information.
Are there any other questions for Director Tiffin? Seeing none, moved by Councillor Falkenberg that Council proclaim November the 17th to the 23rd, 2025 as Living Wage Week in the City of Brooks. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Wastewater treatment plant project. We'll pass that off to interim CAO, Mr. Legore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair and the rest of council. MPE has been working with Don and his public works team extensively from the start of this project. They helped the city access the grant. They've done all the design on the project to date, and really this is a housekeeping item, and we just want to confirm that they will be with us for the engineering, design, and construction services, and we ask that council confirm that for us. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions we'll direct to the director. Thank you.
So it's been moved by Councillor Idris that the council confirm the appointment of the wastewater treatment plant engineering, design, and construction services to MPE Engineering, and that the 2025 capital budget be amended to include $29,110,000 to the wastewater treatment plant project. Any questions? Councillor Idris.
So, with this, does this meet, and I'm sure you have looked into that, but does this meet the requirements for bidding and giving it to the best option, all of that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it does.
Any other further questions?
Through the
Councillor
chair.
Johnson.
Through the chair to the CAO or to the director, does anybody have a timeline on construction start times?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Johnson. They would be looking at beginning construction next year. Fall, with a 4-year build.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Idris that council confirm the appointment of the wastewater treatment plant engineering, design, and construction services to MPE Engineering, and that the 2025 capital budget be amended to include $29,110,000 to the wastewater treatment plant project. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Amendment to the Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Services Agreement, City of Brooks and the County of Newell. And that one is being spoken to by Director Leibel.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to council, the Recreation, Parks, and Culture Services Agreement between the City of Brooks and the County of Newell expired on December 31st, 2024, following its initial term. Renewal discussions began in early 2024 with the intent to update the agreement prior to its expiration. However, staff turnover as well as other issues within the City of Brooks have delayed progress. Additionally, limited capacity exists to complete the update before the end of 2025 due to numerous events happening for both municipalities. Administration recommends amending the original agreement to extend the term from 5 years to actually 7 years, to extend through 2026. This extension will allow both municipalities sufficient time to collaboratively develop a revised and updated agreement. All other provisions of this agreement would remain in effect during the extended term. This approach provides certainty for both municipalities for the 2026 financial year and acknowledges the impact on City Brooks' staff turnover and negotiation timeline. This extension will provide both municipalities with the necessary time to renegotiate and update the agreement while maintaining service continuity and financial certainty for 2026. Under the agreement, the county contributes $638,425 in operating funding to the city operating budget and 20% for all capital expenditures required for city recreation, parks, and culture services. We believe optimal and fair contributions can be achieved and maintained given sufficient time to negotiate the agreement. Council does have options in terms of this item. They can approve an amendment to the Recreation Parks and Culture Services Agreement to extend the term from 5 to 7 years with all other provisions of the agreement remaining in effect. Or council can direct administration to continue negotiating an updated Recreation Parks and Culture Services Agreement with the County of Newell without extending the expired agreement. We do, in fact, recommend that council approve an amendment to the agreement to extend from 5 to 7 years.
Thank you very much, Director Leibel. So it has been moved by Councillor Johnson that council approve an amendment to the Recreation Parks and Culture Services Agreement with the County of Newell to extend the term from 5 years to 7 years. Any questions? Councillor Regner.
Through the chair, one question. The 20% that they pay, how is that rate calculated when the county is about 1/3 of the local population?
Thank you for the question. So this agreement extended prior to my time at the City of Brooks, so I'm not entirely certain how they came up with that 20% number, but that is part of our negotiations going forward, for sure.
So we can continue negotiations then?
To you, Mr. Mayor, the only thing that you can really negotiate on this renewal of this agreement is what our costs are. And part of the issue that we had at the city is that not all of our costs are identified on our financial statement. For example, passes that are given out free, etc. And therefore, they need to be brought into the formula. And that's why, plus changeover in staff, Brian has been here that long, and we need to make sure that we've got all relevant costs included in recreation so that everyone's getting our fair share. Typically, what the percentage is determined, they look at a user area. Yes, while there is the majority of residents are in the city, and it may be 2/3, 1/3, but you have to look at where those residents live. Are they really using these facilities or not? That's typically how it's done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else with any questions? Councillor Falkenberg.
Through the chair to CAO Doug Legore or Director Leibel, I'm just curious if negotiations include any retroactive payment, just due to the fact that we're extending this 2 years. Is there any increase to funding for the 2 years that we're missing? Sorry, I should have asked this sooner, but.
So through the chair to Councillor Falkenberg, I think that depends on whether or not our future percentages change. So if our future percentages stay the same, then we wouldn't look for any retroactive payment. And if our future percentages change, then maybe we might be open to discussing that with the county for sure. I think in the negotiations so far, the county has been very reasonable and very fair and good to work with for sure. So I'm sure they will be open to any fair arrangement.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Johnson that council approve an amendment to the Recreation Parks and Culture Services Agreement with the County of Newell to extend the term from 5 years to 7 years. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. commercial land purchase, Landmark Cinemas, and that will be Director Tiffin.
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor to council, in December 2023, Landmark Cinemas permanently ceased operations of the Oasis Theatre and listed the property for sale. Since the announcement of that closure, staff from the Brooks Newell Region Economic Development Team has had ongoing contact with Landmark Cinemas, as well as other industry professionals, to better understand the current cinema industry and what the potential would look like for future development or to reopen this cinema. We've heard a lot from the public that they really desire to have a theater in town, and we've heard lots of support for getting that thing reopened. So the City of Brooks approached Landmark Cinemas to discuss their willingness to sell the property to the city for a rate of below market value, with the understanding that the theater would be operated as a nonprofit community entertainment and event center. A nonprofit society would be created with the sole purpose of operating the theater through a combination of volunteer and paid staffing. The city would provide the property to this nonprofit society on a zero-cost basis. So an offer of $100,000, which includes the land, the building, and all on-site equipment and furniture, which is in good working order, was made to Landmark Cinemas, and this offer was accepted. But prior to the sale becoming final, city staff has been working with local trades and contractors to perform some inspections on the building and to ensure the structural integrity of the building. Following all of this due diligence work, the property would be turned over to the City of Brooks and work would begin to establish a nonprofit society to begin operations and reopen the theater. It should also be noted that along with accepting a below market offer for the theater, that Landmark Cinemas has also offered to assist with the orientation, training, and mentorship of whoever will operate the cinema moving forward. Landmark has been operating in Brooks since 1992, and they didn't want to have to close the Oasis Theater, and their management is very excited at the potential for this venture. They truly want to see Brooks with an operating cinema again. This purchase will be funded from capital reserves, and therefore there will be no impact on the operational budget. In the early months of getting the cinema operating again, there will likely be some funding required for cleaning, repairs, and getting the facility back up to snuff, and these expenses can be funded out of the existing Brooks Newell Region budget. So therefore, staff is recommending that council agree to purchase the Oasis Theatre for the total sum of $100,000, subject to the interim CAO's approval of any property inspections and due diligence. And I welcome any questions or conversation.
Thank you, Director Tiffin. So it has been moved by Councillor Idris that council agree to purchase the Oasis Theatre located at 129 2nd Street West, Lot 19 through 21, Block 5, Plan 2859R, for the total sum of $100,000, subject to the interim CAO's approval of any property inspections and due diligence. Are there any questions? Councillor Johnson.
Through the chair to CAO or Director Tiffin, I have so many questions, so I apologize. We mentioned that there was a support. Was there any type of polling done, or is it more anecdotal? Do we have numbers of how many current citizens are willing to support this?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Johnson, we haven't done a very specific poll with numbers. The Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee has done an annual engagement survey with residents and asking them what kind of services and amenities they'd like to see. Those numbers have been shared from the Recreation Department to me, and every year since I think 2022, a cinema or a place for performing arts or some sort of live theater or movie theater has been mentioned in those numbers. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. And in terms of gathering and recruiting volunteers, we haven't started yet because the work has essentially just been done kind of like within the office. So we haven't announced it yet, so we haven't had a chance to start recruiting. So unfortunately, I don't have good numbers on that side either.
Can I ask another question? Sorry. Through the chair to Director Tiffin, is it? I don't know who's asking, but if we're spending $100,000, you mentioned that there might be an additional dollar amount needed for cleanup or what? Is there a finite number, or like, I don't know if that's something that we can look at, like, if we're going to give a cinema to a nonprofit, I don't want it to be, you know, a trap where we're dumping money into it needlessly.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Johnson. As of right now in our 2025 Brooks Newell Region Economic Development budget, we have a small pocket of $15,000 that we have somewhat allocated. It was surplus funds. We've essentially allocated them in case there needs to be any, minor repairs like a toilet replaced or some cleaning done, as well as if there's little startup fee costs until the non-profit society can get up and running and start obtaining grants and donations. They would need a little bit of startup money. So we've allocated $15,000 from our 2025 budget to help cover those costs. And then moving forward, once the nonprofit society gets started, if there's any larger renovations or big things that need to be done, it would be done at either using their profits from operating the cinema or by getting grants and donations.
Interim CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and just in addition to that, the only known cost to date is changing a sink out in the concession from a 2-sink to a triple sink. All inspections on the facility have been very solid to date, and it's interesting to note that there is a number of these non-for-profits operating theaters right across Canada, and I have personal knowledge of the one when I was city manager in Salmon Arm, BC. It turned over lots of money and put it back into the community in infrastructure, grants, etc. Very success story. And those success stories are all across Canada. Salmon Arm is probably the show model of any of them, but there's any number of them across Canada. Very successful.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Falkenberg.
Through the chair to CEO Doug Legore or Director Tiffin. I don't want to go on a long story here, but I was not in favor of the city purchasing the theater with the idea that of the original cost, and the idea that I thought that it had been stripped of all the equipment. With my experience in audio-video in the industry, I understand what things cost to replace. My worry is that the projector in particular can be upwards of $90,000 to $100,000 to replace it. I just want to be certain that it is working, and then that kind of stuff is included in the inspections.
Through the chair to Councillor Falkenberg, through our early investigations, discussions with Landmark, as well as a number of independent theater operators who had access to information on the equipment that was in the theater, we were assured that the equipment is relatively modern and up-to-date, digital projection equipment. Landmark, as you may be aware, was operating the theater as a going concern up until December of 2023. For corporate reasons, they chose to close the theater. But again, in discussions both with Landmark and the independent operators, they felt that the equipment and the facility was capable of starting up operations immediately once they'd met certain approvals, including the sinks that CEO Legore mentioned. So to the fact that, the equipment and everything from the point of sales equipment, fountain drink equipment, popcorn machines are all there and ready to go. There's even candy in the candy machine.
So just to confirm, though, that we will be testing that before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be part
Thank
of
you.
our due diligence.
Councillor Nesbitt.
Through the chair to Director Tiffin. Has the roof been inspected, and did we have any hail damage on that particular building? Was that all checked out? Do you know?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Nesbitt. The roof was replaced within the last 10 years, I believe. We do have a local contractor who will be doing an inspection on that. In fact, they've requested an aerial inspection through a drone, and then if necessary, they'll be checking at it closer.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to yourself and council, one other piece of information you might find interesting. The last year of operations, Landmark had sales of 200,000 tickets. Multiply that by $20, you got $4 million income without counting concession. So it is obviously can be a profit maker for a not-for-profit society.
Would the not-for-profit organization been able to show the Blue Jays game on that screen? And how much would that have raised?
Through the chair to Mayor. Yeah, actually, that is, I think, the goal of the nonprofit is to be flexible and do such special events such as that and cultural events as well. So, again, the original business model of Landmark didn't allow for that. Other things that they weren't capable or weren't able to do at this point in time were things like serving alcohol and everything else. So there is a number of revenue streams that we could look at through that nonprofit.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Councillor Johnson.
Through the chair to Director Tiffin, hypothetically, if council was to approve this land sale, what is the expected launch date for this to open? We're getting into winter, we're getting into heating bills, electric bills, which is going to run your $15,000 budget very quickly.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Johnson. Initially, we would have loved to be open and running for a Christmas season launch, but I don't think that that's possible anymore. The movie theater business does much more business during the winter months, so we do want to try to capitalize on some of those cold months, cold weather activities, if at all possible, but we need to see what the trade professionals say needs to be fixed and what needs to be upgraded, make sure that we're getting trades in there, and make sure that our there's things like ticket systems and contracts with fountain pop providers. There's things like that need to be worked out. So there is a significant amount of work that needs to be done before we would launch. So I don't think Christmas is going to happen, but I think that spring or late winter could be realistic.
So, through chair to CAO Legore, who's going to cover those utility bills until the nonprofit's up and running?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the city will be covering those utilities, but they're going to be nominal because the facility is not open. The only thing you've got is to keep that place warm enough that things aren't freezing up in the meantime, so they won't be that excessive.
Okay. Anyone with any other questions? Okay. So, I'll move here by Councillor Idris that council agree to purchase the Oasis Theatre located at 129 2nd Street West, Lot 19-21, Block 5, Plan 2859R for the total sum of $100,000, subject to the interim CAO's approval of any property inspections and due diligence. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw 2525 being a borrowing bylaw. Director Leibel.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to council. So following the budget approval mentioned earlier in the agenda, we do need to fund the wastewater treatment plant. So that is what this bylaw is for. So the debenture borrowing requires a borrowing bylaw under the MGA. And so in order for the project to proceed, debenture funding is required. So without funding, the project cannot proceed. With debenture as a funding source, the recommendation includes first reading of the related borrowing bylaw. The MGA requires that the borrowing bylaw be advertised following first reading for 2 consecutive weeks, and any petition must be filed with the CAO within 15 days after the last day of advertising under MGA Section 231, subsection 3, and all other rules for petitions for vote on advertised bylaws are detailed under Section 231 of the MGA. Additionally, the MGA requires the term of borrowing not exceed the probable lifetime of the capital property. The borrowing bylaw must set out the amount of money to be borrowed and the general purpose of the money, the maximum rate of interest expressed as a percentage, and the term. So worth noting with that is that these are maximums in terms of the rate of interest. We would obviously seek the lowest rate of return from our lender. The borrowing bylaw sets interest on borrowing, and as mentioned, we would seek to find funding well below the maximum rate of interest. If the borrowing bylaw has been passed and the cost of the capital project increases but is still within 15% of the original cost of the capital property, the borrowing bylaw that authorizes the borrowing of the increased cost does not need to have to be re-advertised. Debenture payments will be required in future operating budgets 2026 onward and will be funded by sewer utility rates. So our recommendation is that council provide first reading to the borrowing bylaw. So with that, I turn it back to council for motion and any questions.
Thank you very much, Director Leibel. So it has been moved by Councillor Regner that bylaw number 25-25, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, to incur indebtedness by the issuance of a debenture or debentures in the amount of $17,471,171 for the purpose of construction of a wastewater treatment plant be introduced and read a first time. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Regner that bylaw number 25/25, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, to incur indebtedness by the issuance of debentures in the amount of $17,471,171 for the purpose of construction of a wastewater treatment plant be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. We will move on to questions from the media.
Good evening and congratulations if I haven't spoken to you on your elections. Just to start with, Lisa, you had mentioned the $15,000 from the Brooks Newell Regional Budget. I'm assuming that's the old Joint Services budget? Thank you. That was easy.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's great. Thanks. You also, I'm assuming Doug, please. You had mentioned that there is $3 million from the regional partner funding. I'm assuming that's the County of Newell, but I could be completely incorrect about that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's appropriate for questions from the media to administration be handled outside of the council meeting, and I'm prepared to talk to you after the meeting's adjourned and answer your questions.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll have a motion to move into a closed session, moved by Councillor Johnson, that council close the meeting to the public for agenda items 9A, land matter as per section 19, ATI Access to Information Act, and 9B, land matter as per section 19, the Access to Information Act, at 5:44. All those in favor? Carried unanimously.